All right, any questions?
Yes.
Number?
40.
We didn't have 40. Right. Danny, find a seat.
3.
All right. Hush, hush. No questions?
I do.
Number 6?
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at number 6. It says to land an airplane, I don't want to insult your intelligence, but airplanes are not submarines. Airplanes are in the sky.
No way.
When they fly. When they're not flying, they're on the ground. But when they're flying, they're in the sky. Okay. To land an airplane, well, to land, the airplane's got to be in the sky first. So we're talking about an airplane that's in the sky. To land an airplane, it will approach an airport at 3 degrees angle of depression. So once again, I'm not going to draw nice pictures. I'm going to draw a rectangle to be my airplane, and the airport is also a rectangle. Okay. Angle of depression. What did I tell all of you multiple times yesterday? The first thing you do is you got to get the horizon. I'm going to do it wrong. Watch me. You draw this line first. You're like, oh, I see the right triangle. It really feels like that should be right, and that should be the angle of depression. It turns out it's not. The angle of depression is you first look to the horizon, and then you depressurize down to the target. Therefore, this is the angle of depression right there. You will make that mistake. The same thing with angle of elevation. Same thing. You look to the horizon first and then look up. All right. It tells us the angle of depression is 3 degrees. So we got a 3-degree angle of depression. And the airplane's flying at 30,000 feet. So 30,000 feet above the ground will be right here. Therefore, that is also 30,000 feet. Okay. So it's asking us find the ground distance to the airport. The ground distance is, this is air distance. This hypotenuse would be air distance. That's literally how far it is from the airplane to the ground, right? To the airport, I should say. But the ground distance, how far the airplane would need to travel over the ground would be this distance down here, which is also that distance right here. So that's your X. And that's your setup. All right, so what do we got for trig here? We got opposite, and we got, that's tan. So we get tan 3. Opposite is 30,000. Oh, it's that ugly one. And adjacent is the X. So we need to multiply both sides by X. And then if you remember how this works, it's that divided by tan 3. Let me do a TAN instead of TAM. All right, who's got a calculator? Because I gave my calculator to the testing lady who agreed is going to use my calculator, so I don't have my calculator right now. What? Well, that's what equals X.
It's 572,434.
Hush, guys. You guys are talking. 500 and what?
572,434.
And the instructions say round to the nearest 10,000.
So just be
It would be 570,000. And that's the answer. All right. 570,000. Because the instructions say round to the nearest 10,000. By the way, how many miles is that?
Enough.
Take that number and divide by 5280. And that's how far the airplane is from the airport right now.
108.
So it's 100 miles away. If you've ever flown an airplane and paid attention, generally speaking, airplanes start to land when they're about roughly 100 miles away from an airport. Yeah. So if you're flying into Colorado Springs or to Denver, usually you feel the airplane slow down and starts to fall, right? That's usually that's not in Colorado where that happens. That's usually in Kansas if you're coming from the east. That's the state line if you're coming from the west. From the north, I've actually never flown in from the north. Okay. And it's usually a solid, 30 to 45 minutes before you land when they start descending type thing. So that's always, oh, good, the airplane flight is over, but it's really like a long time. All right. Danny, if you can tell me all 6 answers, I will give you a homework exemption on 2 of the homeworks for next chapter. Okay. So there was your one opportunity. All right. Number one, 32 meters. If you are simply writing down 32 on your paper right now, and there is no work next to it with a picture, these cannot be done without a picture. It's not a very complicated picture, but you have to have a picture.
We had to draw a picture for those ones.
I'm just saying, how did you know what trig function
There was
is?
a picture in the book.
On numbers 1 and 2, but not on 3 through what, 6. But you're right about the picture for 1 and 2. Okay. Number 1 was 32 meters. Number 2 is about 37 degrees. Does it say round to the nearest whole number? So if you put decimal, then it's fine. Number 3 is about 50 meters. Number 4 is about 900 meters. Number 5 is about 2.3 kilometers. I'm not sure why they decided to round that one to a tenth and not the other ones. And then we did number 6. We said 570,000 feet, which turned out to be about 100 miles. All right. Do you feel confident about doing these?
Yes.
There will be one of these on the test.
That's it. We know test this in the test.
Okay. Okay, what part are you not confident on?
The whole thing.
Okay, no. Not allowed. What part are you lost on?
Just me finding what type of.
Because you're the one that told me to use tan. So you're not lost on the whole thing.
Hey, yo,
Like, I know tan, but I can't.
Hey,
remember
hush,
how to
hush.
figure out sin and cos on sine.
So the only difference between this and sine and cosine is, well, sine, SOHCAHTOA. Sine, you're going to get opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine, you're going to get adjacent over hypotenuse. The actual algebra is exactly the same as tan. I mean, either the x is going to be on the top or on the bottom. Or if you're solving for the angle, it's going to be inverse sine, inverse cosine. But the process is no different than tan, right? The only difference is on my picture here, right? The hypotenuse is going to be involved. So maybe they gave you this number, or maybe that's your x, either one. But I'm just saying, if you can do tan, you can do sine and cosine. But on your book of truth, whatever, you got to have SOHCAHTOA and maybe one example of them all if you're still struggling. But in the big scheme of things, there's no one who actually tries this and says this is complicated. No one. Everyone gets to the point they're like, okay, this is not that bad at all. The stuff we did was pretty bad. It still will be pretty bad, but this part is pretty simple, right? And by the way, you get to use calculator. By the way, the whole test, you get to use calculator. This particular test. Now, is that a good thing? Well, not in the sense of it's not going to help you get to the answer if you don't know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're still going to be, asking you questions. If you don't know the setup, doesn't matter that you got a calculator in your hand. But you need a calculator to do the trig function, trig ratios. All right. Any questions on the homework? All right, here's what we got going on today. We have a review day. Now, I said that we were going to do 2 review days. If there's a class that is lazy, it's this class. Okay, not all of you, obviously, but some of you. Okay, if I give you a practice test, not once, but 2 days, and you get to the test day and you have a question mark, like, I don't know what to do here, shame on you. You sat there for 2 days with the test in front of your face, with a teacher that will show you how to do everything, and you did nothing. I truly expect everyone to get a B, or I'd love to buy you all pizza. I truly expect this to happen.
What kind of pizza?
Whatever you want, I don't care.
Pepperoni pizza.
All right.
Meat lovers.
And no, this isn't a bribe to get. I'm just gonna, put my money where my mouth is and say that this is a pretty easy test. Don't be the one kid that lets the rest of the class down,
Danny.
right?
Oh, damn. Why'd you call him out, though?
2 days of review, 2 different practice tests. Both practice tests exactly like the real test. I'm just going to change the numbers around. All right, we have 2 options. We can either do every single problem together today. We can do every single problem together on Monday. But I'm going to we're going to go over every single question, right? So that I can at least have a clear conscience in saying, that kid just blew me off and they didn't want to even pass the test. That you deserve the F type thing, right? Which day do we want to do? Today, or do we want to do Monday? That we literally as a class go over every single problem.
Probably be better to do Monday because And today we have the weekend.
But what if you don't know what you're doing?
Yeah, I think we
I think today is probably the better
How
bet.
about both of them? And then
Both of them I'll do, but there's gonna be plenty of people after we do one day of this, are like, Mr. C, you shut up, I got this, right? But I'm not saying I'm not gonna help you on Monday, I'm just saying on Monday, I don't wanna do it for the entire class, but I will certainly help you on Monday. But I do want one day, we're gonna go over the entire worksheet together, question by question, right? We'll ask, you got this, you don't got this, and then we'll move on. So today it is. So today we're gonna go over this together. Right, don't be that kid. And put all your stuff away. I only
Guess
want
what,
one
Monday?
thing.
On Monday, no.
One thing for pencil. All right, yeah, but I want all this. Because it's just too distracting for you. And once again, all I see are these.
It only got made worse. You told me that Brady wasn't picking
Move
you
this
up.
over, side, away from you.
Yeah, he wanted to throw
That way
away,
you don't have to, you know,
and then almost gave him
This is
his
gonna
man.
start grinding.
And then
at least we have a chance. Okay? All right,
No chance of ding.
I'll collect homework here
No,
in
you
the
got your
class.
footy.
Hey,
Right, though.
yes, the way I said it as well too. Hey, you cannot show up on test day without a calculator. I will not give you a calculator on test day unless it's literally something like you walk into class and you drop a calculator on the floor and it breaks. Right? And no, you can't do that on purpose, so I give you a calculator. But hey, calculators, make sure you have. Now, the reality is you only need the calculators for one thing. Seth, could you stop?
I'm done.
The reality is you only need the calculators for one thing, and that's the trig stuff. I'm giving you a calculator. You can use it with the Pythagorean Theorem. Great. That just makes your life a little bit easier. There are going to be a couple questions where I don't want you to use a calculator. I'll point that part out. It's when it says the answer must be in radical form. But other than that, all right, if you want to use a calculator, fine. To divide 12 by 4, okay. Merry Christmas. I'm letting you use a calculator. All right, let me share this to my e-learners and we will get going here. All right. On the test, just like in the chapter, the first thing we did was those two weird looking corollaries. Here's how you do these correctly. You want to write this on a separate sheet of paper, that's fine. The basic setup is this. Sometimes it's not erased and sometimes it does. The basic setup is this. I need to do this online so the e-learners can see. The basic setup is this. You need to apply this triangle right here. This is the one from the book to the scenario. You're given a right triangle where you have a altitude drawn from the right angle to the hypotenuse. I'm going to use letters that may or may not be in the book. I think I have them right, but I could be wrong. I believe this side was called A. This side was called B. This, since it's a height, was called H. This was called C. And I could be wrong here. This is called D. And the whole thing of the entire hypotenuse was called E. Now, if that doesn't match what's in the book, it's okay. It's just letters. Okay. That's the picture you need to refer to do questions 1 through, somebody help me out, 1 through what? 1 through 4. Okay. Yeah, with my finger. All right. Now you get two corollaries from this. I'll give them both to you. You get A is equal to the square root. This is corollary 1. The square root of, no, I'm sorry. It was H. Anyway, A is equal to C times E. I'm doing them out of order. They start off with H. H is equal to the square root of C times D. That's a D. And then lastly, B is equal to the square root of, it's kind of the opposite of the A1, D times E. Great. And if the picture looks like this, most people get it right. The problem is the picture is going to be flipped, rotated, turned, and twisted. I gave it to her already, to Mrs. Lovato. Okay, so twist, turn, whatever. You got to be able to take the picture on number one. Chris, what are we solving for? And if you twist that to my picture, X lines up with what letter? It does. Here's the issue. I got two of them that have C. You just got to pick whichever one the pieces parts make. Hey, I got a 48. 48 matches H. So on this one, we're going to use the middle one. So let's see. H is 48. And that's equal to the square root of C. C is the piece that's underneath. Well, that's my X. And I need D. D is 64. So I get times 64. How do we get rid of the square root symbol? Not by 2. We square it, right? Do you know where the square button is on your calculator? Or you can either do 48 times 48, or you can hit the square button, either one. It's going to be a big number, so Merry Christmas. You got a calculator. You can do this. 48 squared is 2,304. All I'm doing is squaring both sides, and that's equal. Well, squaring gets rid of square roots, so we're left with 64x. And now it's a simple algebra problem. Therefore, x equals, you got a calculator in front of your face. 36, is that right? Now, what do I want to see on the test? Unfortunately for you, guess what? I want to see all those steps. I don't want to see this up here in red, right? I want to see all the steps. Hey, how many steps did I write? 3. Okay, it's not that bad. Okay. But I do want to see those 3 steps. Why do I want to see those 3 steps? And to give you the possibility that if you jack something up, that I can give you some partial credit because you set it up correctly or you knew what you were doing. You set up incorrectly, then you don't know what you're doing. But if you set it up correctly and you use your fat fingers and you type in 3 when it's supposed to be 4, well, at least I know you knew what you were doing. You just messed up the calculator. Questions on number 1. All right. Do we need, and there's the answer, 36. We got it right. Do we need to do any more other than one of those? Pick one. Is it 3 the one with the that gives you the whole thing? Yeah, good choice. All right, let's take a look at number 3. There we go, number 3. Once again, the hardest part about this is twisting it and turning it. So Wes, you pick your poison. What do we know here? And 15 is A, therefore, well, there's only one of them that has A. We're using the top one. So let's see, we got 15, that's A, and we're told that that equals C, and C is 9, and the whole thing is, well, that's not too bad. That's just like the previous one, right? Square both sides, and you get, I can do that one in my head. 225 is equal to 9x. Therefore, x is equal to what is it? Can't be. Is it? Oh yeah, because 8 would be 200, right? So 9 would be 25. All right, so x is equal to 25. Okay, going around the room. Connor, yay or nay on this stuff? Right? Where are you going to make your mistake, Connor? Probably not. That's the easy part. You're going to make your mistake because you can't twist or turn this. Hey, you want to see some David Copperfield magic? Look at me. We just did number 3. You ready? Now it looks exactly like that. Just take your paper and turn it and twist it, right? Don't think that you actually have to do the whole thing in your head if it's on a piece of paper in front of you. When you took that test the other day, it's on a laptop. Take the laptop, turn it so it looks like the way you want it to look, right? There were a couple questions on reflection and rotations, and I was like, they're not going to be able to do that in their head. Just take the computer, flip it over. Yeah. Well, then you're paying for it. But you're in 10th grade, right? You're at least we're going to let you drive a 2,000-pound piece of steel 70 miles an hour.
Only 70.
I think we'll be okay with a laptop. All right. Connor's good. Cadence? Ethan, good? Micah? Chandler? Wes? Chris? Matt? Are you good or you need another day of this? Okay. We're going to do it. Literally, I'm going to give you the same sheet of paper, just different problems on Monday. All right. Danny, where are you at? Okay. All I heard was mumble. Okay, good. Because one more day, you should be good. Seth? Bree? Okay. We are done with that. The next topic is what? What's the next topic? What does it say to do? Okay. It's the Pythagorean Theorem. Woe unto you if you get this one wrong. Then you're the one that's setting it up. What is the Pythagorean Theorem? So if you need to, I don't know, highlight that or something. Which side is always C? Okay, and where do you find the hypotenuse always? Easier way to identify it, because you could have X's falling around, is it's the side that is always. Now, what you said before, it's the long side, is 100% true, but I mean, if there's variables involved, you're not going to know it's the long side. So it's the side that's opposite the right angle. So tell me what to write. You get to pick. Wait, but that's. Now, if you put b squared, would I mark it wrong? No, it's a variable. But this is called x equals. All right, so what do you do next? Okay, how do I do that? Just do what it says. What does it say to do? By PEMDAS, you do subtraction first. You do exponents. So do the exponents. Yeah, 15 squared is. And we can't do anything with the x squared. Now let's solve. What's the first thing? Whoa, 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 whoa. I agreed. So you subtract both sides by 81 and you get 1. What is it? And then how do you get rid of that square? Therefore, x is equal to what? Yes. All right. We good on Pythagorean theorem. Now, I'm gonna do this 3 times. Well, today, Monday, and then on test day. Notice this says find the missing side of each triangle, round to the nearest tenth if necessary. This is straight up Pythagorean theorem. Take a look at question number 9. What's the difference? What's the difference in the instructions? You got to prove it. Why did I not erase a squared plus b squared equals c squared? That's how you're going to tell. If it is a right triangle, a squared plus b squared will equal c squared. Do you remember the rest of this? Obtuse. If c is obtuse, you wind up with that construction. If c is acute, you wind up with this construction. It's still going to be a squared plus b squared, and there's going to be a c squared. But if it's obtuse, c is going to be bigger than the square of the other two sides added together. And then the opposite, if it's acute, then C is going to be smaller. So all you have to do once again is throw this into the, I can't write with my finger, throw this Pythagorean theorem. Now here's the only drill. You see the two sides or three sides there? Clearly 4 is not the biggest side, but the question is, which is bigger, 4 root 15 or 16? Well, you got a calculator. Matt immediately grabs his calculator. That's what I might do as well too. Or, I don't know, the square root of 16 is 4. So square root of 15 is a little bit smaller than 4. Yeah, but I'm saying it's just a decimal number. So it's got to be smaller than 4. Therefore, we know that 16 is the larger side. Okay, so I know that this is actually, I don't know if you will call it A or B. So we got to square both sides. 4 squared is 16. When I square, oops, I'm putting an equal sign, whoops, plus, what's 4 root 15 squared? It's 16 times 15, whatever that is. And not 6, that's 15. 16 times 15, not 5. No, doesn't matter. And 16 squared is it 169, 196? 196.
156.
16 squared is 156. What am I thinking? 13?
You said 96. Yeah.
Is that 13 squared?
256.
256. Okay. 256. What am I thinking of? 13 is 169. 14 squared is 196. That's what I was thinking of. 13 is 169. 14 is 196. 15 is 225. 16 is 256. Okay. All right. Now it's just a little bit of math. What's 16 times 15 plus 16? 256. So we get 256 equals 256. So what kind of triangle is it? It is a right triangle. So once again, you're going to do this math. Either the left side is going to equal the right side or it's not going to equal. When it doesn't equal, if C is bigger, the side with C is bigger, that makes it obtuse. If C is the size that's smaller, that makes it acute. Questions? Okay.
So they're the same size as right.
It's a right triangle. Right. Do another one, or are we okay with this? Yes? No? What? Do another one, or are we okay with this? Danny? Okay. Don't say yes if you mean no.
That means do another one.
One more. Number 10. What's bigger, 10 or square root of 226? Actually, I should say square root of 226 or 127. Well, clearly 226 is bigger. 10 squared would be 100, so the square root of 127 has got to be bigger than 10. So we can see which one is the hypotenuse. It's square root of 26. Okay, this one's not too bad. If we square everything, well, 10 squared is 100. Square root of 127 is 127. Remember, they're inverse operations. They just get rid of each other. And the square root of 226 is 226. Hey, I don't even need to go anything past that step right there. Right? 100 plus 127 is bigger or smaller than 226. It's bigger, so you get that construction, and according to our little matrix, that makes it acute. I did that kind of fast, but did everybody follow that? This would be as much work as you would need to do to show me that you know what you're doing. If you do the whole thing on your calculator and you get it wrong, then I can't give you any partial credit because I don't know what you were thinking. All right, enough on that topic. What time do we get out of here? Look up there, Matt. Tell me. It's small. You can't go without getting up there. Bad, it's 9:50. We're in period 2.
Oh, I was looking at normal schedule.
Friday.
Oh, period
All right, we got 4 minutes. Next topic. Use special right triangles. We were not going to probably get to the trig stuff, but we just did the trig stuff. That should be easy. So let's talk about special right triangles. There are 2 special right triangles. There's the 30, 60, 90. 30, 60, and then I'll put a square for that, and a 45, 45, 90. All right, now, I mean, my goal was to at least familiarize yourself with this. I'd love it if you had this memorized, but I'm not holding out for that. I'm just holding out for you know what to do. If you have this picture right here, did anybody remember any of it? What do you got? 45, 45, 90 is the easy one. So the sides are A and A square root of 2.
I thought it was the right one.
No. The 30, 60, 90, the short side is always A, and then you kind of like, I can't remember. The hypotenuse is double A, and the other one is A root 3. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, once again, it just turns into, can you twist and turn, right? This one and turn into the other one. Do you see 15? Look at my hand. Do that to the triangle, and it looks like the one I just drew. Just flip it up, and it looks like the one I just drew. There's only one number up here. What's the number on my triangle? 9. Okay, well, yeah, the 60s we don't use. So that means that 9 is equal to, well, what side on the 30, 60, 90? A root 3. Because once we solve for A, we're done, basically, sort of, kind of. At least we know what A, we can plug numbers in. So A, I'm just going to solve for A. How do we get rid of root 3? How do we get rid of root 3? That's how you get rid of the square root symbol. How do you get rid of square root 3? If there was an X there, I agree, we would do that. It's not attached by addition. So we're going to divide both sides by root 3. So we divide both sides by the square root of 3. This is that weird one. Square root of 3's cancel. We cannot have the square root of 3 on the bottom, so what do? We multiply top and bottom by root 3. By root 3. Okay, this one's ugly. We get 9 root 3, square root of 3 times the square root of 3, square root of 9, which is 3, and that further reduces to 9 over 3 reduces to, so we get 3 root 3, and that's what A is equal to. And you're like, well, what did I just do? You solve for A, and A is Y. So here is your Y value, because that's what A is. So the only thing we got to figure out is what? X? X is double A. Double this puppy. What would you get? 6 root 3. So there is your X. And I'm not going to draw that for the Y, but A is equal to your Y value in this case. All right, so we did it. All right, 6 root 3 is X, and 3 root 3 is the other one. Let's just do a 45, 45, 90, call it a weekend. Here's your 45, 45, 90. Erase. Erase, 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 erase. Okay. What's the only number up there?
2.
Boy, this one's 45, 45, 90 is the easy one. So 2 matches up with what? Hey, this triangle matches up perfectly. So 2 is equal to A, right? Can you see that? 2 is equal to A. Y matches up with A, so that means Y is also 2. And the X is equal to A root 2. Well, I know what A is, it's 2. So X is equal to 2 root 2. Special right triangles. The only thing we did not cover, it's on your worksheet, is your trig, which we already did. All right. pizza if everybody gets a B. Yes, you will. This is an easily passable test.
But what if I fail on purpose so nobody gets
Then you can go to algebra 2.
All right, any e-learners? There's no e-learner present. If e-learners, if you have a question, we're gonna do one more review on Monday. It will be the same as what we just did right there. I will not be walking people through every single problem on Monday. So if you have specific questions, make sure you ask them. Have a good weekend.